connection. You are now live. All right, let's sit down. All right, we're gonna wait a minute. I'm gonna share this on my Facebook feed, and then we will get started. Happy Friday, everyone. If you're just tuning in and you want more people to see this, please like, comment, tell us what's going on with your Friday. Share it with your friends. It gets the message out to more people here. Awesome. And perfect. Well, hope everyone is having an amazing Friday. I am Dr. Seth King, owner of Limitless Physical Therapy and Performance in Rochester Hills, and a physical therapist here. And this is my guy Matt. Matt, tell them a little bit about yourself.
I'm Matt. I was born and raised in Sterling Heights, Michigan. I'm local to this area. I'm currently finishing up my doctorate at Indiana State. So finished up the schooling portion, and now just here on a clinical rotation with Steph, and excited to be here and happy to be a part of the Limitless team.
That's right, yeah. So Matt's with us. He is with us through almost the end of March. He's been an awesome asset already the couple weeks that he's been here, and we're excited to have him around. But we are going to be starting this Limitless Live thing, and this is going to be something that we do every week where it's an opportunity for us to answer questions that you may have really about almost anything. And we want to put this out there to be able to help you guys get past any barriers that you might have, and just to be able to answer helpful tips from people who study movement for a living and who work with people that are in pain, especially. So we got a really great question that we're gonna hone in on, and the question came from Gabby, and the question is, what are some of the best tips and cues for a safe deadlift? Awesome question. Thank you, first of all, for putting that out there, Gabby. And I guess the first thing that Matt and I maybe want to talk about is this whole word of safe and safety when it comes to the deadlift. And Matt and I both have really kind of our own little experiences with deadlifting and with back problems specifically. And I think the word safe and safety when it comes to deadlift, there's a lot of people that are scared of deadlifting, right? I know for sure, like that was something I was really scared of when I hurt my back. I hurt my back deadlifting a lot of years ago. And so, this word safe kind of comes into the conversation a lot of times. And I guess the very first message that we want to put out there is that not only are deadlifts safe, but they are absolutely a human necessity in our life, because it's really, a deadlift ultimately is the safest and most biomechanically sound way to pick something, especially something heavier, off of the ground. Kind of when you boil it down, that's essentially what a deadlift is, right? Yeah. So, I think when we hear the word safe and like doing a safe deadlift, while people are really scared of this movement, there's really not a need to be. And a lot of our patients that we see that have things like low back and hip pain, while they're experiencing fear with this, it's one of the first things that we go to. And this is something that is very well kind of supported, I guess, by some of the research coming out specifically about low back pain these days, is that deadlifting, hinging at your hips, learning lifting technique is a very, very good way not only to improve the pain that you're having, but also, just to kind of bulletproof your body against that movement that you may have sucked at in the past. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, build some resiliency and some other movement patterns and stuff that you might be doing on even like a day-to-day basis, I think.
No doubt. Yeah, day-to-day, that's a huge thing. Like, I distinctly remember when we've got 3 kids, my wife and I, and picking them up out of the crib, right? Super awkward position, having to kind of hinge over there. That is an awkward motion, but tends to have a lot of relevance, honestly, to this deadlifting motion that we see. And that's a really light, depending on how heavy your baby is, I guess. Maybe if you have a huge baby, maybe that's really like exerting, but there's a lot of things that we encounter even in daily life that aren't necessarily a barbell or a kettlebell or something like that involve deadlifting.
Yeah, and I think to your point there, not necessarily a barbell, a kettlebell. I think when you hear safety, a lot of times people think like that's out of my comfort zone.
Right.
I'm not going to be safe lifting up like this heavy barbell. So like trying some other things that you're more comfortable with, whether it be a kettlebell, a dumbbell, all these different varying items that we have at our disposal, being in a CrossFit gym here, wherever you're at, whatever kind of tools you have. I think it's being comfortable and feeling like you're doing the right things
Exactly.
with whatever tools you have, not necessarily just this heavy, like traditional barbell type style
Yeah.
deadlift.
Yeah.
I mean, everything can be modified, and I think that's important when we talk about that safety.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they think of the word deadlift, they think of picking up a really, really heavy barbell from the ground, which has a ton of advantages, by the way, but is not necessarily, that's not how a deadlift has to be. Exactly like Matt said. I totally agree with that. That's cool. Well, awesome. So, to kind of move on away from the word safe, I know we dove into a rabbit hole there a little bit, but one of the things that we commonly see with this deadlifting movement and things that people are, doing wrong with the deadlift is that people commonly come in here and are squatting their deadlift. All right, that's a common phrase. You can Google that to your heart's desire if you want to. But squatting your deadlift has many disadvantages, especially when you have something like back pain or hip pain, because again, the most sound and safe way to pick something up from the ground is to use your hips more, rather than the whole what have we heard when lifting, like lift with your knees, not your back.
Like keep your chest. All these like kind of just popular terms that have been coined throughout the years to like try to avoid some stress on the back. But
exactly. Yeah.
I mean.
Exactly. So squatting your deadlift is actually, as much as people might think it's an advantage, it is very much a disadvantage. And so we kind of drew, and I'm clearly an amazing artist, right? Yeah. But we drew kind of a diagram up here of what the two different things look like. All right. So I guess we're going to assume that in like a fitness context, in an exercise context, that this stick figure person has a weight maybe in their dotted line arms, right? And what we see here is that a lot of people come in and they focus with a deadlift, the weight being on the ground, for example. They focus on bringing those hips down towards the ground, knee translating forward over top of the ankles while they're holding onto that weight, all right? This is absolutely what we want to stay away from, if at all possible, and instead move more towards the right side over here, which is, as you can see, a vertical shin, and the emphasis has all been about now pushing the hips straight back in a horizontal direction, right? And so the mechanics of this and the torque that is produced in your back is much healthier in this scenario versus this scenario. So one of the cues that we commonly tell people at a very simple level here is push your hips back, not down, right? I mean, there's a lot of different ways, I guess, that we could talk about that particular thing, but the emphasis on hips going back, not going down is a huge lifesaver for improving people's pain, but also hitting PRs and getting stronger with this move, because you were supposed to feel a deadlift where at in your body?
Not in your back, not in your quads, not in your calves, not in your neck. This is supposed to be a very hamstring, glute, posterior, back of your legs dominant movement.
Exactly.
I think that's where you get a lot of that fear from, and a lot of those people squatting their deadlifts. Like, ooh, my back hurts after deadlift. Well, you just squatted, and you didn't squat well either.
No.
Doing some sort of hybrid of the two. So
Exactly.
definitely should be felt in the back of the legs, hamstrings, and glutes.
Exactly, and we see people all the time that are in here with some of these painful problems, and when I ask them where are you feeling this exercise, right? It's kind of a silly phrase, but where do you feel it in your body? We commonly get people saying, I feel like my quads and my calves are working really, really hard. Chances are, if you're feeling it in your quads and your calves, you're not doing it right. Right? Okay. If you're feeling it primarily in your back, you're probably not doing it right. Matt mentioned also your neck. We see a lot of people really arching up with their neck. That is also probably something that needs to be fixed. You need to have someone kind of evaluate and take a look at your movement and get you on the right track there. Cool? So moving forward with the same thing, because I think maybe this is the most important principle. We want to make sure that we have then like maybe a tip of how can you emphasize pushing the hips back, because we see it all the time, even in really, really strong people. Sometimes it's super awkward for someone to not be off balance as their hips are shifting in a backwards direction. All right, so we see people's toes pop up as they push their hips back. We see a lot of different things. One of Matt and I's favorite exercises for developing a better awareness of pushing hips back rather than down is banded hip extension, which is essentially where you place a band around your hips, anchor it to something really, really firm that is directly behind your butt. All right, and you work on this hinging pattern of bending forward and allowing the band to pull you in the right direction, and then pushing against the band as you straighten up again. This is a fantastic exercise to kind of develop better awareness of the positions and shapes that we want to try to see with the deadlift movement.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so Matt had the awesome idea. I'm going to credit you for this here because I think to maybe dive into that a little bit deeper, what we're going to do, we're going to put out another video for you guys next week, specifically about some cues and tips on how to better deadlift and how to maybe develop better awareness in these positions. That'll be a little bit of a deeper dive onto the exact things and what they look like, what it might look like in a gym setting specifically. I think that'll be really, really helpful for you guys. So make sure that you tune in for that. We won't do it live. We'll probably just post it as a video to Facebook and Instagram for you guys to watch. Please make sure, if this is helpful in any way for you guys, like it, comment, drop me some comments down below. Share this with people who you think it might be helpful for. That'll just help the message kind of get out about deadlifts being very safe, very, very safe for us. And not just safe, but necessary, making sure that we get our hips back on a deadlift and not down. And we hope that you guys have an awesome Friday. Hopefully this was awesome. Hopefully this is something that we can continue to do.
Yeah.
And honestly, we can't continue to do it if we don't get questions. So please send in your questions. If you have anything that you want us to answer live, we will certainly kind of put it into the pile and come up with some good answers for you. Hope you have an awesome Friday, and I think that's all we have. That's all we have for him.
Awesome. I'm turning the camera off. So.
Shout out to Nightingale Company. Beautiful hat here, some swag. It's not a sponsorship though, right? Maybe not. I don't know. Just hit the off button at this point, right? All right. Awesome. Hope you guys have a good Friday.